Hello, everyone. Welcome to another live night. Again, just so you all know, we do have a Patreon. On Patreon, we do meet a lot more than what we do here on YouTube. So next week, we're actually going to have a psychic game night. So if you want to join us for psychic game night, that's going to be next week. I don't know what date it is. I want to say the 6th. That doesn't sound right. Whatever, the next Tuesday. Hang on, now I gotta look. November 8th. November 8th is going to be our psychic game night. Also, the final Tuesday of every month, we do a members only live. So if you want to see me more, I am on Patreon. We hang out a lot more over there. We also have Q&A nights. We also have group readings. Not Q&A nights, Q&A like videos where people ask me questions. You also get early access to all of these videos on Patreon. So come on over, join us over there. Really, the Patreon is so that I can have monetary support to keep this channel going. We make a lot of videos for free here, and that gets very taxing. So thank you all for those of you who support me over on Patreon. It helps me a ton to keep creating the free content that I do. So thank you all. You can catch me next time if you missed this live. We're going to go live again December 6th. You can always look at my schedule on my events page on my website. If you're new here, please subscribe. We've got a new video coming up, not this weekend, but next weekend. And that one is going to be how you can come out to your friends and family about being psychic, being intuitive. That video has been highly requested. I've just had people also just ask me about it, not necessarily for a video, but I decided to turn it into a video. So that's going to be the next video that we've got coming up. We have had 2 videos since I've gotten back. One is my Sabbath video, where we covered Lunasaw and Maybon, so that's new. And then I also released one this last weekend about how to get rid of other people's energy. So if you haven't checked them out, save them to your watch later, and maybe check them out after this stream. Hi, Adrian. Hi, Karen. Hello, Mike. Just going through my announcements here. Let's see. I'm going to start my timer for my members. If my timer goes off and you are a member and you comment closest to my timer, you'll get a free quick little reading tonight. Otherwise, we do a group reading at the beginning and then we do individual readings after that. You can donate if you kind of want to get to the top of the list. What else? I think that's about it for my announcements. No, that's not. Psychic game night next week. Wanted to pitch it your guys' way, kind of thinking about, I know my video uploads have changed to every other weekend. That's mostly because I just don't have a whole lot of time to edit. And I'm trying to take it easier on myself so I don't burn out. I feel like I just would constantly burn out every couple months and it just wasn't healthy. So we're going to try to take a step back and upload a little bit less. But my hope is that in between, knock on wood, no promises, I would love to still be able to upload pick a cards or meditation videos, because those are really fast and easy for me to make. They don't take as much editing or as much work to do my full-on videos. So hoping that we can do that. I do still have to film the other half of my course this month. That's a goal. It's a goal. I really want to go back to being able to make weekly videos. I really do. But until I have more editing help, that's what it's going to be for now. Awesome. So tonight we are going to be doing just a group reading about psychic abilities. How can you be strengthening your psychic abilities right now? So I have 3 piles, pile 1, pile 2, pile 3. You can pause, take a moment to meditate and ask which pile is meant for you. And this is about, again, how can you strengthen your psychic abilities right now? But yeah, we're going to go a little bit shorter tonight. And that is only because I have not had a break in forever. Last weekend, not this last weekend, but the one before, I had back-to-back Halloween events. If you follow me on Instagram, you probably saw that video. And then this last weekend, I only had one Halloween event. However, I was doing a ton of things for our next Sabbath video for Samhain, the Halloween Sabbath. So I basically was working 2 whole weekends in a row, also worked during the week. Last night was Halloween. I hope you all had a fantastic Halloween. We went out trick-or-treating. My son is 2, and I think it like finally clicked last night. He was like, oh, sweet. I knock on the people's doors and they give me candy. So he freaking loved it. So yeah, I haven't had like a solid break in a long time. This week I have nothing planned besides like my private readings. So I'm gonna do a quicker night tonight, and we're gonna kind of wrap up so that I can just go get some rest. This week is all about resting and recuperating, although I'm doing a lot better than I did last Halloween season. Last Halloween season, I just like drove myself into the ground. I did a lot better about taking care of myself in between. All right. So pile 1, pile 2, pile 3, this is our group reading, and then we'll jump into individual readings. And we are going to do that. Yes. Hello, Heidi. Hey, silly rabbit. Also, thank you for those of you who came to the virtual spirit circle. I had so much fun. I hope you all did. We did kind of like basically we did a seance online, and I've always wanted to do that. I hadn't had enough followers that I felt like I could fill a full like circle, but this year we went for it. We had a ton of people in there, and everyone got a message. I was very self-critical of myself afterwards. I felt like I could have done better, but that's the Virgo in me. I have to let it go. But I think I'm going to do it again next year. And I think it was so popular that I might end up doing 2 nights of it next year. So if you are interested, make sure you're subscribed to my newsletter so that you can see it when it comes up next Halloween. Alrighty. So pile number 1, how you can strengthen your psychic abilities. We have ancestors. Also, I don't know if I've done this in the Patreon or on this live yet, but this is one of my newest decks. It's called Seasons of the Witch, the Samhain Oracle. We also have this Seasons of the Witch Beltane Oracle. And again, those are the Sabbats in the Wheel of the Year. I have a whole like video series about it. But this one is all themed to Halloween. It's like red on the outsides. It's a very dark deck. I don't have a lot of dark decks because I don't like to freak people out. But then I was like, you know what? I'm holding myself back because I like to do it. I don't mind the dark stuff because it really doesn't scare me. So I want to go there. So yes, pile number 1, ancestors. To me, this is saying 2 things. 1, it could be that your ancestors are here to help you with your psychic abilities. So maybe like opening up to them and having them like help you learn. Or 2, it could be that, or I guess that's the same thought that I had as number 2, is that your guides, your ancestors are here to actually, or wait, no. First one is that your guides or your ancestors are here to help you. Second one is that the interest in like understanding who your ancestors are might be a way for you to jump into your psychic abilities, because sometimes we're like, oh cool, I want to learn my psychic abilities, but you don't quite know what to use it for. Like, you know, maybe you just use it for the most of like, oh well, which store should I go to today that's going to be the least crowded, or which parking lane should I go down to find a parking spot? Like very silly, mundane things. But sometimes when we have a little bit more purpose or like excitement or passion behind what we're using our psychic abilities for, it can help strengthen your abilities. So if you're really excited about connecting to your ancestors, learning about them, like using your psychic tools to connect with them, you know, that might be a lot better at strengthening your psychic abilities than, again, asking, oh, what parking spot is available to me? I hope that makes sense. I think that when you're excited about the information to an extent, I think it makes it more fun to use your psychic abilities. So pile number 1, ancestors. And then I asked for a clarifying card. again, how can you use your psychic abilities? How can you strengthen them? And I did get visions, which is funny because this is like psychic images, clairvoyance, seeing out of body travel in this deck. So this to me is saying that pile number 1, you're probably a little bit more clairvoyant than you're giving yourself credit to. Also hearing that if you're attracted to the moon in this photo, maybe working with the cycles of the moon, you might actually be able to help strengthen your psychic ability. And yeah, I feel like clairvoyance might be a big help. Maybe doing clairvoyant exercises. Pile number 1, I think that might help. And we did do a psychic game night that was clairvoyance only. And the cool thing about my psychic game nights are I make them like accessible, like you can go back to them at any time. You don't need to be watching them live. I walk you through exercises and you kind of like do it real time with me, but it doesn't need to be live for it to happen. So you can jump back to clairvoyance. We also did clairaudience. So next week we're going to be doing clairsentience. Unless I'm like getting my order wrong. I think it's clairsentience next time. Awesome. Pile number 2, you have the bat. And this card is all about shadow work. So I would ask, what's blocking your psychic ability? What is preventing you from having a strong psychic ability? And that's where you need to start pile number 2. Shadow work is just like going into the fears, going into the self-limiting beliefs. You have those with your psychic ability. And sometimes it's just sitting down, facing them, asking yourself, okay, why am I blocking my psychic ability? What's going on here? But I feel like psychic blocks are most important for pile number 2. You guys might need to just sit down, sort it out, recognize what's blocking you, and then make a plan for how to get rid of those blocks. And I do have a whole video on how to remove psychic blocks, especially if you are new here. So you can check that out and get a lot more information about that. And then the clarifying card for pile number 2 is Song of the Siren, the call summoning voice to acknowledge. To me, this is saying there's probably something that has been bothering you, something that has just been like itching at the back of your mind. That's where you need to go with the psychic ability and your blocks. And this doesn't necessarily mean that like it has to be related to psychic blocks. Like you could have like had an argument with somebody and it's just been bothering you, and maybe doing the shadow work around that, although it's totally unrelated to your psychic ability, maybe clearing that up will actually help. Like I have been having a reoccurring dream of being in my elementary school like almost every night for the last like week, and I haven't sat down. I haven't figured out what it means. So that's like a great example of sitting down, figuring out what it means. I assume it's like about some sort of block or about a fear or a worry. Maybe not, but like, what is that like itch? What is that song that's like summoning you, you know? All right. And our member timer is almost up, so just saying. Okay, and then pile number 3, you have the veil. You know, and I actually kind of feel like with pile number 3, this is saying your psychic abilities are strong right now, that you don't need to do a whole lot. Like the veil thinning around this time of year, that was literally last night. So those effects are still here. It's not like the veil isn't still thin. It's kind of like the moon and moonology. Like when you think about it, you know, you have the full moon, but the effects of that like energy happen a couple days before and a couple days after. Same thing like when you get any sort of planet going into retrograde. So with like the veil, you know, Samhain, I wish my video that I made this weekend was available to you now. You're going to find out about it when Yule is over, and then you'll get the last 2 Sabbats. But the veil is thinning around Halloween, and it makes it supposedly easier to talk to spirits, talk to loved ones in spirit. And the veil is basically saying, like, you guys are already there. You can connect. There's nothing blocking you. So do something now. Like, do something, get into it, try some sort of exercise. There's nothing more that needs to be done at the moment. Oh, and I pulled a clarifier card, water flight, heaviness lifts, burdens are cast away, weightlessness. So I'm hearing that there's like two groups of you. Like one group, you might have already like lifted all of this weight off your shoulders. You might have lifted a lot of stress. And because of that, or maybe even just psychic blocks, because of that, you're very psychic right now. Or if you feel like this isn't you, this is what you need to do in order to get to that veil, that really easy communication with spirit. So water flight, heaviness lifts, burdens are cast away, weightlessness. This is where you want to be. You want to almost unground yourself in a way, especially with the veil. It's almost like you're not grounded. You're lifting more into your psychic mind, that right brain. You're not as grounded. Obviously, like, don't live in that zone like 24/7, but I think that pile number 3, you guys really are just have like the perfect timing for it right now. So go out and do something. Looks like I gotta do a bit of shadow work. And also with this, like, if you listen to another pile and you felt like it also resonated with you, have at it. Probably also for you. Could be that all of it. Little bits of each one are for you. I'm planning to practice mediumship with my ancestors. Woohoo! Karen was at the spiritual group. Yes, you were. We had a fun little seance. Happy Scorpio season. Sometimes it's hard to get out of your head. Absolutely. Good for you guys at 3. Awesome. So now we're going to jump into individual readings. Oh, that timing was perfect. Okay. Karen, you were the member that commented closest to my timer. So Karen, feel free to throw up a question if you need to take a moment to think. No problem. I lost my sticky note. Hang on. I'm going to keep track of how many readings we do tonight, because I always say that I'll do that and then I never do. But yeah, we're going to jump into individual readings now. How they work is that, one, our members have a timer, which just went off. One member every night gets like a free short little reading. And then what do? We do donations. It's been a while. And I've had a ton of readings in this last month. We do donations, so you can donate through Super Chat, which is the little dollar icon down below, or you can donate through Venmo. And I think I've got that pinned, my handle. If you do donate through Venmo, just let me know so I can check my phone, because I do have it on silent. And then if we catch up on all the donated readings, then basically we do guessing games. So I think of something, you all try to guess what I'm thinking of, and then whoever guesses right gets a free reading. So that's how the live nights work. Probably I have a number in my head, but I have no idea how much that's going to take, so I'm just going to kind of feel it out. But first, Karen, my life story in head. I'll go ahead and wait for Karen. Okay, Karen's got a question, and then we'll jump into whatever's next. Should I drive 7 hours to surprise my son for his 26th birthday? He hasn't returned my correspondences in a year, so it's weird. Ooh, I don't... Before I even read the rest of it, like the should I drive 7 hours to surprise them, kind of not feeling good about it. Doesn't mean you can't. It feels like a yes, but. And let me just tell you what I'm getting, and then I'll pull some cards. But it feels like you could I just like got corrected by your guides. They're like, I don't know about that. Because I was originally going to say, like, maybe if there's somebody else that's going to be there, let them know. And then maybe they could let him know and, like, get his reaction. I guess that's not the worst thing your guys are saying. But I feel like their advice is kind of like, call him up and, like, say, hey, I'm coming. Is that okay? But I feel like he would say no. Let me just pull some cards. I do feel like, though, if you just showed up with absolutely no notice, it would be weird, and you would feel awkward about it. You know, but the cards are like, I feel good about it because we have justice. And this is like the energy that you put in is the energy that you get back out. So I do feel like if you did show him that, like, I'm seeing it now and I'm seeing like it might be weird at the beginning, but if you could just like power through that, be nice. Like I'm seeing you like kind of not drawing attention to yourself. Like, you know how like some in-laws or like family members show up and they like make a big show of themselves and they do it for the attention. But I feel like if you came, you were like, I'm hearing humble and subtle. You're not like drawing attention to yourself. I feel like they would be around you and be like, oh, wow, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was. Not saying that you're like bad, Karen, but like there's a preconceived notion of how it's going to be. And because of that, that's like their vision. But if you came and proved them wrong, I do feel good about it. It's the surprising part that just feels off. I can't think of any like suggestions of like how to do it better, but I did get the healer and transformation. This to me says like you are trying to heal that relationship, and there definitely could be a positive transformation. Like when I first pulled this card, I was like, ooh, positive or negative, and I heard positive. So I think it has the potential of like really having a good outcome. Let me just ask really quick how you could better introduce the idea. And I got the King of Cups, which is just being like very emotionally vulnerable and honest. I don't know, Karen, if you can like tell somebody else, engage like the interest, and then he might end up finding out, but it's almost okay if he's prepared for it. But I think total surprise would be not well received. I hope that makes sense. Yes, you can absolutely use Super Chat to get a reading for sure. Awesome. I hope that helps, Karen. But I was seeing like the end outcome like very good. Like it's weird at first, but good in the end. It's more of like that wasn't as bad as we thought it was, and maybe we should like invite her more often. All right. Cool beans. We don't have any donations, so I guess we'll jump into a guessing game. I'm thinking of a color. If you can guess the color that I'm thinking of, then you get the reading. There's something like screeching outside my window. I don't know if it was a cat. It sounded like a pig. I'm even more confused. I'm sorry, Karen. Trust your gut. That's what I always say. Go with what feels good, Oh, maybe it's my child inside screaming. Heidi, you got it. It was black. I know that Halloween's technically over, but I wanted to use the Halloween deck that I bought for myself this year just for tonight. I ended up like reading at my parties with this and got to know it pretty well. Kind of love it. But I have another new deck. It's the Lenormand deck, and you're going to get a Lenormand video that I'm collabing with somebody really cool. We're going to film that the day before Thanksgiving. It's not going to come out till like December, but I bought a Lenormand deck, and it's probably one of the prettiest decks I have. Actually, if you follow me on Instagram, you've already seen it. Halloween was so fun. Yes. All right, Heidi, I have a really hard exam coming up for work, and I'm curious how it will go. I'm seeing like a man around it. Who is this man? I feel like it's your professor or maybe somebody you sit close to. No, you don't, because you're not like in a physical class for this. You know, I hate this advice, but it's what's coming through. I do feel like this man, I hate that, but it's like he's looking at the test is what I'm seeing, and he's deciding if you pass or not. Like, it's not just like ABC, did you get it right? Like, I don't know if there's like some sort of like essay questions to it, or like you write a paper or something. I don't know what it involves, but like what I'm getting is that there's some level of bias involved. And as long as you can show him that you're like eager to learn, like nice and not like pushy about things, he's gonna like use his favoritism a little bit to like be a little bit more forgiving, is what I'm hearing. Like he'll be like, oh, I think she gets like the idea, you know? My manager. But I feel like he has the potential of like just being like, nope, wrong, or you're gonna not pass because I decide I'm in a bad mood today. Ugh, I don't like that. Hang on, let me pull some cards. I'm just gonna ask. Again, how it'll go. Okay. You've had a lot of strength in this so far, but you're pulling your heart out, you're pulling your guts out, you're like really stressing out about it. Like this card, it's kind of gross, but he's like pulling his heart out of his chest. Like, to me, this is the energy of like really putting yourself out there, being very stressed. The future card that I got around it is lots of anxiety. So that's helpful to know, because you can change the future and you can say, you know what, I am going to go into it without so much anxiety. So Heidi, whatever you need to do to get rid of that anxiety, I think is going to be most helpful, because that's a trajectory right now, is like you're really stressing yourself out about it, and it's going to result in a lot of anxiety. So I'm just going to ask for some advice. And I got rooted and alter. So this to me is like grounding yourself ahead of time, really getting in your body, taking care of your physical body ahead of time, so that you can be like physically prepared to like take this test. Like if you're exhausted, if you're going on like a week of just high anxiety, like your body is going to be very different than if you took care of it the night before, if you got a good meal, if you really carved out time to not think about this test, you know what I mean? And then the altar, kind of similar energy here. The altar is like just at a bare bones level, creating like a space for you to come back to yourself, your own solid, quiet space that has nothing to do with this test. You know, it's being very like introspective, meditative, like in a spiritual sense. This is like it's a sacred devotion, a worship. I forgot these are poems, so they're kind of confusing. A sacred devotion, a worship skin, deep rising from the ash, the waters you keep. Basically, I'm seeing you getting a lot of time away from this mentally, emotionally, physically, so that you can show up not so anxious, if that makes sense. Hello, Jennifer. Alrighty. You're welcome. Let's do another. Okay, I'm going to do another color. I am thinking of a color. If you can guess the color that I'm thinking of, then you get the next reading. Orange. Angie, you got it. Woohoo, woohoo. Angie, let me know what your question is. I was looking at my new notepad. If you're on Patreon, I unbox the goddess box that I get every month. And this last month they gave me a tarot notepad, but every single one of these is different colors, different tarot cards. And what's tonight's? The Hierophant. And it's interesting because every reading that I do, I take notes on my notepad, and that card at the top almost always like reflects the reading in some sort of way. All right, so that was Angie Harris. Angie got that one. Let me know what your question is. And then we'll jump into some more. Again, feel free to send a donation if you don't want to wait. I applied for 2 different jobs recently, waiting to hear back. Just wondering if I'll get one. No, I'm going to ask job 1 and job 2. Job 1 feels like it falls flat. Like you might not even get a response. Job 2 feels, wow, okay. And I just got spider in reverse. And in this deck, the spider is like manifesting. So the fact that we got manifesting in reverse for job 1, that to me says you probably might not even hear back from this. Let me just ask, can we give something to describe job 1? Hang on. Just so you know the difference. Something more group related, maybe working with other people a little bit more, maybe something that requires like other people to get you hired. 3 of Cups is like very group mentality, other people. Let me just pull one for what is the second one. Well, the second one, we got the Sun card, so that's pretty good. That's actually really good. I'll still go by my intuition, though, of saying, like, job 2. Job 2 still needs, like, some sort of other energy. But with the Sun card, this is saying there's a really good outcome. But maybe when you think of this job, it makes you feel happy. It makes you feel optimistic. It makes you feel expanded. I'm hearing, like, the colors specifically. I don't know if, like, job number 2 is very, like, orange, like, maybe the logo is orange, or I don't know, maybe you're outside a little bit more. I'm not sure. I would just look at the imagery, and that's just to help you differentiate between the two. But job number 2, I got reflection. So this to me says like there's a little bit more that needs to be done. In what way, though? It doesn't feel like anything that will affect like you getting the job. It's more, I feel like you really want the second one maybe more. Yeah, I think that's it. Because what I'm kind of getting is like, you really want this job, and I think you'll be really crushed if it doesn't like work out. And this to me says going into like why you want it so bad. Like, what is this that you want? And then if it doesn't work out for some reason, it's about doing the work of realizing, why did I like that? How can I find something else that's similar? And then you can move into maybe another like application or job that, you know, would make you just as happy, that maybe it's a little bit different. But let me ask just like what's being ignored, like what is the reflection that you're ignoring? And I just pulled the Death card. So this to me is saying like, oh, I see. There's an ending of something here. Maybe this job will either bring about that ending in a sense of like, you think you want this job and then you don't, and then you're kind of like, ugh, I just need to try something else, try something different. Or it could be that there's, let me just pull one more. I don't want to pull this many, but I'm trying to read them fast. And then I got the World card, which is like another endings card. There's something with this second job. Does this need to happen? Yes. There's something that needs to be brought to a close. And that's what this reflection is. Like doing this reflection, looking at yourself. It's about putting an end to something. It could be like with a past job. It's could be with like a like I'm hearing like a boundary thing. Maybe you're going into this job and you're saying, when I go into this job, I'm going to be like, you know, very firm about like my time, my energy, whatever. But there needs to be just a little bit of reflection around what that is that you're kind of like closing out, finishing up. I do feel like this is good. Whether or not you get the job, I'm not sure, but it literally feels like 50-50. However, following down this path of like closing out what is no longer working by doing some of that reflective work, I think you're going to ultimately find like success. Like you're going to find something no matter what. It's more just like which one and how soon. Does that make sense? Closing the deal. Let me see. Just one last piece of advice for Angie really quick. Greet the darkness. I don't know if showing this card will get me censored, but we're going to go for it anyways. Greet the darkness. To me, Angie, this is just going into where your negative feelings exist, asking why they are there, reflecting on it, and maybe you're going to realize that some of those jobs don't align with you, or maybe if they do, you're going to have to draw some firm boundaries. But go into the shadow work, go into the feelings and see what comes up. All right. Hello, Jessica. Thank you, Johnny. Okay. So that was Angie. Now we're going to do Johnny. I keep applying for my dream jobs and I keep getting knocked back. My last interview I thought went well, but they said no. Can you see, ask what I'm doing wrong? Okay. I'm just hearing like lack of experience. Like before I pull these cards, I'm hearing lack of experience, but also like oversaturated. Like there's a lot of people. Either there's like a lot of people applying for that job or they don't have the resources to employ more people. So the second part of that really feels out of your control. First thing, I do feel like you could like zhuzh up your resume a bit to make you sound more appealing. Not saying you haven't done that, but like I saw this one TikTok and they're giving me this as an example. And this TikTok was like, take your graduating year off of your resume because people will judge you based on how long you've been out of school. But if you don't put the year that you've graduated, then they won't be like, oh, she's super young or something like that. Maybe you could literally do that, but it feels something like that. And it's not lying. It's just like trying to make it a little bit more marketable, if that makes sense. Interesting. Okay. Let me read the rest of this. It was a health position and I even gave them a blood test. I felt really positive. I was unsuccessful. Venmo minimum donation is $7, Jessica. Hermit. Why is this happening? It's interesting, Angie, because Johnny. I feel like all of these cards are like going inwards, taking a break. Because I asked why this happened, and I got the Hermit and the Altar. So this to me says you needed to go inward. I'm kind of hearing that you might have looked for like, I hate this, but this is like me to a T, but like when you look for all the positive signs and you omit any possible negative sign because you're just like, I'm going to manifest the shit out of this. And you're like, no negative thoughts at all. And I feel like this is kind of about like being honest with yourself about where you could do better or why this wasn't for you or something else. But the Hermit essentially is like, go inwards on this. Don't look for answers outside of yourself. Really meditate on this. Again, like do the shadow work. Think about the fears behind it. Think about why you want it. Pull your own cards. Do your own meditation. Altar is literally about doing that, like creating this sacred space for you to connect to that intuition and get answers on this. And it's funny because all the rest of these cards I pulled, Ritual, Third Harvest, Coming of Winter, it's almost mirroring the same message, but they're not giving me like what you need to actually work on. Because like ritual, I would kind of describe it the same way of like really putting the time. I'm kind of hearing more into yourself and like your self-care, your spiritual routine. I keep like going back to like wanting to talk about like the shadow work, like the fears that you might have around getting this job. I feel like a lot of it is, I could be wrong, but I just kind of feel like you're underqualified. Maybe I'm wrong. But the third harvest, this is about like being grateful for where you're at. To me, this is saying like you're going from A to Z, maybe not so much. Maybe you're like F to Z. I don't know. But you see the end goal, you see it so clearly, but it's almost like there's a little bit of a journey that needs to happen in between until you get there. Because this is saying to be grateful for where you are, bring in the abundance. You know, you're doing a really good job of that, of like focusing on what is working well. But the coming of winter and kind of the altar, the hermit card, this is about hunkering down, hibernating, like really ruminating on this and thinking it through. To me, it feels like you've had a laser focus on this job. And what if it's that there's actually something better that's out there for you? You know what I mean? And you donated, right? So yeah, let me just spend a little, let me ask again what you're getting wrong here. Because I think that besides hermiting it up, yeah, because I'm getting the Chariot, which is literally like you're getting all major arcana cards. Okay. There's something about this dream job that you want that's just not in alignment with you right now. And that doesn't mean you can't have it. It's just that you have to get in alignment with it, or it needs to get in alignment with you. But we have the Chariot, which is like, where's your intention? Like, where is it focused? And that could even be just like, maybe you're super focused on this job because you want the money or the fame or the recognition, but really that's not the end goal of what you want. Like, for anybody out here who really wants to manifest something, like put yourself in the spot where you've manifested it. What is the feeling that it gives you? It's not that my dad is calling me. Sorry, Dad. Can't answer right now. What was I going to say? I got distracted. Chariot. I'm trying to wrap this up. Sorry. Chariot can be that. Yeah, it's just not. What was I saying? Sorry. It's that, what is the feeling that thing brings you? Like, maybe you're like, oh, I want to manifest $4,000 a month. But it's not really that you want the 4,000. It's that you want whatever that $4,000 brings you. Maybe it brings you more freedom of time, more relaxation, less work. Like, what is that? So maybe, that's something that you could do. Johnny is just like, focus on, where is my intention and does it match my actions? Or maybe the intention is not coming from a good place. So focusing on your intention is definitely one area. The Justice card, things are not balanced right now. And I'm hearing it's like the same thing of like whatever you're showing yourself as, and whatever you look like on paper it's not matching. Like if this is that you need a certain amount of credentials to get this job, it's not a good balance. Like, you don't have that. And I do think it's about like the credentials. Not saying you don't have it, but for some reason on paper or to these other people, it almost looks like you don't have it. And then the Lovers card. I don't know, like, Johnny, I could be totally wrong, but to me, it feels like, is this what you really want? And I feel like you'll manifest it if you really want it, but I do feel like there's something better. Not saying don't give up. Like, I don't want to be that person, but the Lovers card is all about like playing to your own strengths, working with yourself, like advocating for yourself. And when I see the Lovers in a career reading, it's all about, is this working for you? Is this career, is this job, is it the best for you? And maybe it's not. But if everything I say tonight like totally rubs you the wrong way, take that as a sign, you know? Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and end it there. I wonder if eclipse energy has a role in this. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, by the way, how did eclipse season treat y'all? I kind of feel like mine was like surprisingly okay. Hey, Laura. Underqualified sounds so right. You can skip that, Jessica. You can hit the skip button, but it's 8909. I applied because I found lab work interesting, but I have a fear of needles. Okay, good. I'm glad. Hello from Mexico. Thank you, Laura. Awesome. Okay. Laura, I love a reading if you have time. Yes, if you donate, you absolutely get a reading. I'm probably going to do about 4 or 5 more. Yeah, that probably feels good. Yeah, and Johnny, don't let me demotivate you at all. Like, doesn't mean you can't get there. I think that's like, for intuitive people, I feel like we see the end goal and we know we're going to get there and we feel it and we just know. And then like, we don't get there and we just question ourselves. And it doesn't mean we're wrong. It's just, we see so far into the future and then we're like, what's taking so long? And then you end up finding like, that it was, you know, that you needed to go on this whole journey beforehand. Again, not saying that for you, but okay. Awesome, Jessica. Jessica, I will get to you after Laura. Thank you, thank you. Could this be any more literal, Laura? Rebirth in your intuition. Ooh, love it, love it, love it. I feel like there's definitely a theme going on tonight. All right, so Laura, how you can align a little bit for whatever you're trying to manifest. Rebirth in your intuition. This is just kind of telling me, you know, it doesn't mean you have to like start from scratch or anything, but like to me, this is taking your intuition to the next level, like really honing those abilities. And I was kind of hearing that like your guides have things they want to talk to you about, things that they want to share with you, but there's not that like clear pathway of communication. And so when you hone your, I feel like my son is like outside. I hear him so loud and clear. My husband just must have the screen door open. Rebirth in your intuition. Yeah, it just feels like putting more time and energy into your psychic abilities. It'll help you have a lot more clarity. But I also kind of feel like, Laura, this, whatever you are trying to manifest, it will also like kickstart your intuition and your abilities even more. And kind of like what I'm getting here is that in the past, you just your emotions confuse you. And it's very hard to separate your emotions from your intuition. And so when your guides are trying to tell you, hey, like, go this way, go that way, it's very hard for you to hear it because you're also hearing all your fears, all your own thoughts, and it can be very confusing. And so I think your intuition is here to help with that. You have to learn how to separate that out so then you can hear yourself. And, you know, the things we tell ourselves of like, oh, I can't manifest that because of this fear. You know, sometimes we think that that's our intuition. We think that's a sign from the universe, you know, but it's really not. It's just ourselves. And right now you're kind of going through this, like, I don't want to call it like heartbreak, but you're not seeing the results, right? And you're kind of disappointed. However, if you kind of follow the advice here of like really taking charge of your intuition, and if you are just now joining us also, Laura, the beginning of this reading, we did a group reading of how you can strengthen your psychic ability more. So I would encourage you to like rewind it, go back there and listen. But I love the card that you got for the future. This is the moon. And the fact that we got it upright is really good. This is all about intuition. This is about understanding what's underneath. It's that you're being vulnerable, you're being honest with yourself, you're taking off the mask. And I don't feel like this mask is bad for you as much as like it's a mask of like not understanding. Again, like to me it's like huge, like your emotions versus your intuition, that all gets mixed up. And I feel like you derail your manifestation so much because you listen to your fears and think that they're like signs from the universe or something. Like you read too much into it. So I do feel like this is going to help you just separate things out and sort it out. And the moon is literally like intuition. It's understanding what lies beneath and really understanding the shadows, the shadow work that needs to be done. By the way, this deck I found out about this deck because of the artist right here. She is a local Colorado artist. I have another one of her paintings right behind me. I have 3 of her originals inside my house as well. Her name is Aria Fawn. We did a video for her actually, and she did one of the designs in this deck, which is the Color Tarot project. And all of these are designed by different artists, which is kind of cool. But yeah, she got the moon card, which I thought was so like perfect. A to Z in one step. Video game gameplays on the future. How would that work? It's a cool idea. But basically the only games I play are Sims and Dreamlight Valley. So I don't know how that would work. Thanks, Jennifer. Yeah, we've had 2 new videos. I know we have a little bit less live nights, but I am on Patreon. You can jump on Patreon and join us for a lot more live nights over there. Just trying not to burn myself out and keep this all sustainable. I hope you understand. What am I looking for? Sorry, I'm just double checking my Venmo really quick. Venmo. Thank you, Jessica. All right, let's see what Jessica's. Okay, and then Mickey. Jessica, what's your question? Did I miss it? I don't think I missed it. Unless sometimes y'all put it in the Venmo. Nope. Okay. My dad tried to call me 5 times. Sorry, Dad. You have to wait. He's not calling for me. He's calling for my son. Okay, Mickey, you're going to be after Jessica. Jessica donated on Venmo. Yeah, Laura, it's perfectly timed. Still live. Yes, I am. Okay. Jessica wants the tea. Okay. Okay. First I'm going to ask, why do you need to know? And then I'll still answer your question. But you know what? I'm going to pull this card. I don't like this. Hang on. They really don't want you to know the answer to this. I think some psychics will totally read into this and they'll give it all to you. I think I'm a psychic with some harder ethics, so it's a little bit like my own bias makes it a little harder for me to read stuff like that because I want to be like careful. However, I do feel like, to answer your question first, I pulled Irama, but essentially like what I feel like with this card is like a long journey ahead. So he might have some things ahead of him. It kind of indicates like a stagnant path, something that might take a long time, something that might be frustrating, but at the end, I don't think it's going to change actually, because I pulled the Temperance card in reverse. And that is very similar to this card of like the universe like putting a bunch of stuff on you, pressing you, making life hard on you. And you have the choice of like going with the flow, taking the punches and changing, or you can fight it. And I feel like he's definitely fighting that. So, whatever's going on in his life, I do feel like there's a little bit of a journey that he's going to go on, and he's probably going to be in resistance to it. Also, I pulled the Transformation card in reverse. This says frog, but this card is basically about like, it's like the witchy equivalent to like a butterfly. When we think of butterflies, they go through all their stages, they transform. Same with frogs. They're tadpoles, and then they're like eggs, and then I don't know. There's a lot of stages there, but I should know. But I got this also in reverse, so there's not going to be a whole lot of changes. There's not going to be a whole lot of changes here with him, and that might suck because you want him to feel bad. You want him to like, understand the repercussions. But I'm kind of hearing like he's going to resist transformation, which I do feel like to some extent might make you feel better that you walked out of that relationship because, it wasn't going to change. It wasn't going to get better. And so you kind of had to put yourself first. But for now, he's just kind of going to be the same, do the same thing, unfortunately. However, I do like to ask why you care. Why do you need to know the information? And I got the broom. And this to me says you need to do some cleanup. You need to do some mental cleanup. You need to do some energetic cleanup around this. It's okay to want like revenge, or, it's okay to have angry feelings. Like, I don't think I'm going to be the person at all to tell you like to not feel certain feelings. Obviously, and I don't imply this at all, Jessica, towards you, but like anybody, obviously, if you're acting on those feelings, that's something like different. I definitely don't condone that. But this to me, Jessica, says that you haven't done the inner work around cleaning up the anxiety, the stress, the hurt from it. And you would rather agonize in his own stuff than you would face your own stuff. And they're telling me to pull up this quote. I've had it saved on my Instagram for like ever because I've been wanting to share it, but I'm always like, what will people think? What will people think? But this quote, I love it.